In this video, we go ahead from non-chordates and study the classification of chordates. Phylum Chordata is divided into three subphylums: Urochordata, Cephalochordata, and Vertebrata. Vertebrata is further divided into class Cyclostomata, class Species, Amphibia, Reptilia, class Aves, and class Mammalia. So we have phylum Chordata that we are going to do in this video, divided into three subphylums, and this subphylum Vertebrata is divided into 6 classes. Some of the characteristics of chordates. First of all, chordates are animals that have a supporting notochord in their bodies. The important characteristics are that the notochord is present during any developmental stage. Pharyngeal gill slits, as you can see in the picture, are present in the body at least during any developmental stage, and these have either lungs or gill slits which they use for respiration. There is a single tubular, like a tube type of spinal cord present on the dorsal side of the body. Now, in human beings, if I put my hand towards my back, I see that's my dorsal side. And if I just put my hand in front of myself, that is the ventral side. So we have the chordates having the tubular spinal cord on the back part of the body and the heart present on the front or the ventral side of the body. The body is supported by the notochord, and a nerve cord is also present on the dorsal side of the body, which is hollow. Phylum Chordata, the first subphylum, which is Urochordata. Now these are marine animals who live in the sea, whose body is covered by a skin-like tunic of tight covering, like a skin type of thing. You can see that in Herdmania, fully covered by skin. Now the larvae, that means the initial stages of these animals, freely swim, and they have a notochord present only in the tail region, not throughout the body. Now these larvae, they change into, or the word is metamorphose, changing different stages in the life cycle of any living thing. So they metamorphose into adults only after settling at the bottom of the sea. We have another example here, Doliolum. Okay, and they are generally hermaphrodite, meaning they have the male and the female reproductive organs or the reproductive organs in the same organism. No separate male and female. Phylum Chordata. Now we have subphylum Cephalochordata. Now these are small fish-like marine animals. Okay, Amphioxus is one of them. The notochord is present throughout the body. You can see in the picture there is a notochord, the red line, right throughout the body. Pharynx is large and contains gill slits. This is for respiration, and they are unisexual. So as we come from one subphylum to the next, we have animals who are male and female separately. The third subphylum of Chordata, a very important one, is Vertebrata. Okay. Under Vertebrata, the first class is Cyclostomata, and these animals have jawless mouth with a sucker. Now, human beings have an upper and lower jaw. These are without a jaw. They have suckers. Petromyzin is one example. Their skin is soft, they don't have scales, and they don't have paired appendages. Appendages are structures which are outside the body, like how we have hands and legs attached to the main part of the body. Those are called appendages. So they do not have these appendages. They are endoskeleton. Okay, that is the skeleton which is within the body is not made of bone, but it is made of cartilage, a softer substance than bone. And most of these animals are ectoparasites, meaning they live on the host for nutrition, but from outside the body, not within the body. And we have another example, that is myxine. The next class under subphylum Vertebrata is class Species. They are cold-blooded or poikilotherms, the word scientific term for cold-blooded. Okay, cold-blooded meaning that if the temperature drops, it becomes cold, their body becomes cold. If it is hot, their body increases with the temperature. Okay? They are aquatic animals living in fresh or in sea waters. You can see this example here, the stingray. Okay, so most of the fish come under class Species. The body is spindle shaped. Spindle shaped meaning broad in the middle and tapering at the centers, at the edges. That is mainly to minimize the resistance to water, because they are aquatic animals. They need to move through water, and therefore if they have all these appendages like hands, legs, and fat body, they will not be able to move through the water quickly, and therefore the body is spindle shaped. You can see here, you know that you have been drawing diagrams like this right from the 5th standard onwards. A fish, okay, they have paired and unpaired fins for swimming. If you look at this fin here, the pectoral fin, it is also present on the other side of the fish, but there's only one tail fin, one dorsal fin, and these are separate. So we have either fins in pairs, or they are only one. And the tail or the caudal fin is used as a steering organ, means wherever the fish wants to go, it will use its tail to move. And you can see this very clearly in the electric ray, how it's using its tail to turn its direction. Okay, then the endoskeleton, that is the skeleton within the body, can be made of cartilage or bones, and they have an exoskeleton, that means the skeleton outside the body, on the body, which is in the form of scales. We have another one over here, and here very clearly you can see the paired fins in the shark, the unpaired fins, and here also you can see how the shark using its tail as a steering organ. Now, respiration in this class takes place with the help of the gills. The next class under subphylum Vertebrata is class Amphibia. Now, these animals are very strictly aquatic during their larva stage of their life. They look like little fish when they are in the larva stage. Okay. They can live on land and water, and they can perform water functions and aerial functions only during adult life. But when they are in larva stage, they are only in water. And you know, the frog is a classic example of this. You are aware that the frog can live on land as well as in water, but when it is in larva stage, it's a small little tadpole only living in water. Then these organisms belonging to class Amphibia have two pairs of appendages. I told you appendages are hands and legs, something that's outside the main trunk of the body. And they have their hands, which are called forelimbs, and their legs, which are called hind limbs. They have digits, that is how we have the fingers and toes. But those digits have no claws or no nails like how we have. An exoskeleton like the fish. Fish has scales. This one, the amphibia, has nothing. The skin is without anything on it, and usually the skin is moist because it respires or breathes through its skin. Another example is the toad. Now these animals, they do not have an external ear. Their ear is not seen, but a small little structure called tympanium, as you can see in the frog and the toad, is present. Neck is absent, but they have very bulging or prominent eyes with eyelids. Another example is the salamander. Phylum Chordata. Now we are doing subphylum Vertebrata, and underneath that or below that is class Reptilia. Reptiles, and you have studied in your first chapter, evolution, that reptiles were the first terrestrial animals with a creeping movement to be present on this earth. They were found right below, so you know they came first. So they are a very important class. Yeah, we have the tortoise as one example. Now they are cold-blooded, means they change according to the temperature of the atmosphere. They creep. They are only on land moving, slowly, because their bodies cannot be lifted up. Another example is the lizard, common example. Now these animals have dry, very scaly type of rough skin. A neck is present between the head and the trunk. The main part of the body is called the trunk. They don't have external ears, just like amphibia. They also have digits like amphibia, but their digits are different because their digits have claws. Okay, now we have a snake, which is another example. Now, when you are studying these classes and then you look at the snake and you say, but the snake has no digits. Okay, the snake has no digits. So how can it be under reptilia? So what do we do over here when we are classifying? The main characteristics are taken. Okay, now the snake, it creeps. Okay, there's no neck present. It is cold-blooded. So therefore it has majority of the characteristics of class Reptilia. There can be little difference here and there with different animals. The next class under subphylum Vertebrata is class Aves, or the birds. They are adapted to aerial life. Look at this beautiful kingfisher here. They are warm-blooded now, slightly higher evolved animals. Now, the cold-blooded were poikilotherms, the warm-blooded are homeotherms. Now, what is the warm-blooded creature is not that it is warm every day, but they never change their temperature. If you take a thermometer and put it into your mouth or under your arm and check your temperature, there'll be a standard temperature, whether it is cold or whether it's hot. Okay, unless you have a fever. But these animals, they don't change their temperature according to the temperature of the atmosphere. The body is spindle shaped like fish because they have to cut through air when they are flying. So you can see the body broad in the center and tapering towards the end. They are four limbs, so they don't have hands and legs. They are the front limbs. Okay, they are modified into wings. They too have digits, but their digits have claws and they have something extra. That is, it's covered with scales. Another example is the duck, penguin, very beautiful creature in the cold regions. And they have exoskeleton in the form of feathers. There is an endoskeleton made of bone, an exoskeleton in feathers. Look at this beautiful creature. The peacock, belonging to class Aves, and a beautiful exoskeleton of feathers. There is a neck present between the head and the trunk of the body, and here their jaws are modified or changed into beaks. The last class coming under subphylum Vertebrata, very important to you and me because we belong to this class, and that is Mammalia. Now, mammals are called mammals, or they are in this class because they are the creatures who give birth directly to young ones. All the other ones, they lay eggs, but mammals give birth to young ones. Therefore, to feed the young ones with milk, they have mammary glands present. See the kangaroo here, which is little baby in its pouch. Okay, it needs to look after its young ones and therefore they have mammary glands. They are warm-blooded. Their body now is divided very clear divisions because they are the highest level: head, neck, trunk and tail. Yeah, we have the dolphin, who is a fish, but it has all characteristics of mammals, and therefore they come under the class Mammalia. They have digits which are provided with either nails like in human beings, claws like in animals, and hooves like in the horse. The horse has its big nails and it goes clip clop when it walks. It is because of the presence of this huge nail called a hoof. Now, exoskeleton, we have an endoskeleton, all mammals, but there is exoskeleton also in the form of hair or fur. Another example is the bat. You can see the bat flying. Its wings are called patagium. Okay, and this is showing you biodiversity among not only animals but in mammals too. Such a huge mammal and a small little dog, resting on this huge mammal. Both of them mammals. And if you are interested, search in this picture and see how many animals you can find.